Hi, folks. I want to end the course, or start to end the course, a little bit where we began, on some of the basics of what the labor relations system is. The standard formulation that you've studied for most of the semester and discussed and looked at is basically labor, management, and government. Labor relations is often referred to as the three-legged stool of labor, management, and government. And you've looked at the functions of all of those within the labor relations system, how unions work, how management and HR works in a unionized system, how they interact in good ways and in bad ways, a number of different cases, and how the arbitrator, which is part of the system of labor and management governance together, how the arbitration system and dispute resolution works, and then the government involvement in terms of regulation, external regulation of the processes, the rules and guidelines, and also how that works in the public sector and the issues that come up in public sector. Now, I guess I want to highlight two things. You all raised very broad and at the same time focused sets of issues. I guess I'd say big, important issues, but in a very focused way in your final essays and in some of your wrap-up discussion. What's interesting about reflecting on the standard formulation of what labor relations is to think about what's happening in this current economy and in the global economy. There are challenges for unions. There are challenges for management and corporations in dealing with unions, in dealing with non-union workers, in dealing with the global economy. There are questions of the changes in the standard formulation of retirement, for instance, an issue a lot of you rightfully touched upon. And there are very important questions brought on by globalization, which when the initial academics and labor relations practitioners were saying that labor relations is a three-legged stool of labor, management, and government, they were not grappling in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, particularly the 50s, when a lot of this academic work, 30s through 50s, when a lot of this academic work went on. They were looking more internally and more to nation-based systems and not internationally. So you all have highlighted critical global issues that come out of it that challenge how labor relations works. I want to say, I guess, just if I appreciate all the lessons you all have noted, and they're the sorts of lessons I was hoping folks could get out of the course. I guess I want to just, there's not a lot I can add. I want to wrap up with a few things. One is that I'm incredibly impressed with how seriously you all took the course and also take your work on a day-to-day basis in terms of how you deal with colleagues, how you deal with working people, how you deal within your organizations. There are a lot of themes around respect and dignity, mutual respect and dignity in terms of workers and managers. And I've just been very impressed about in the ways in which you all have dealt with these issues. Second, what a number of you have cited is understanding more about what's going on with labor relations in the political sphere, the national sphere, and the international sphere was a very important objective of this course. And what I'm hoping and what I see from your comments is that you all will be become much more knowledgeable and critical in a good way consumers in terms of what's written in the mass media, and you have the baseline knowledge that allows you to think more and think in more depth about what's really going on when people are writing about strikes or writing about labor issues in other countries or writing about management practices. And it's important to have that baseline knowledge to ask the critical questions about what's behind the headlines. And I hope I think you've gotten this baseline knowledge and beyond that gives you some real perspective and some ways to critically analyze what comes at you from all sorts of different sources around management, labor, corporate practices, and the international economy and globalization. And I guess the final thing I'd leave you with, and this is somewhat why I had come back from the big to the more specific arbitration assignment at the end, is among the most important goals of this course was also to make sure that you feel confident operating in a labor relations setting. For a lot of HR folks these days in particular, you don't always deal with unions, and yet you may need to deal with unions at some point, either as a member or as a manager, or as I have over the years on both sides of the table. And it is very, very important that you have this baseline knowledge to work with. I got right before I started teaching the course, I got a call from an HR professional who had been at the top of her profession for 20 years and took a new job that was a new, exciting opportunity, much better opportunity for pay and advancement and growth. And she was in an absolute panic because she had been working in a non-union setting all these years and suddenly had to deal with unions. And she said, I have no idea what to do. It's just a totally different animal. And it shouldn't be. It should be one of the critical skill sets you have. I think it's very to the credit of this program that this is one of the required courses. Even if some of you weren't thrilled about the idea of taking it in the beginning, I'm glad it worked out okay for you. And it's just important to understand labor relations practices. I would argue whether or not you're going to deal with a union, because they're just important lessons about everything from just cause to workers' rights to negotiation processes that can be used whether you're working in a union or non-union setting. And also the exercise of having to look from both sides and then from above, from the arbitrator perspective, gives you a sense and a perspective that I think you can take into any workplace, no matter where you're sitting, and use in a valuable way. I apologize for the last time for all the technical glitches throughout the course and for the fact that I'm figuring things out as we go first time through organizationally and technically, but I have to say I really enjoyed the course, really enjoyed working with all of you. Looking forward to reading those final arbitration papers, and I know I've met a couple of folks face to face, looking forward at some point in the future to running into all of you, not just in the virtual world, but face to face. So thanks for all your work in the course, and good luck on the final paper. I'm still available for comments, questions, whatever you need, and have a wonderful winter holiday season and New Year. Bye-bye.